What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, we're just gonna kind of dive into it. So I got water in my crypto mining room today, and it's pretty crazy how it happened and what occurred. So as of these rigs right now, I do not know if these rigs work anymore. We're gonna have to test them out tonight. I literally didn't take a minute to even retest them. I literally rushed in the room and started unplugging things. So let's go ahead and kind of look at things. A little bit of a mess because I just started tearing stuff apart. So I'm sitting here working today, about 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern. This is where I work from, not doing YouTube, doing my full-time job. And I start hearing like, I usually work with earbuds in. I use either the Samsung earbuds that I have here, or when I'm in meetings, or I have my Razer Nari headphones there. So not really hearing much. You can hear the fans kind of running here in the mining room. And traditionally I have the mining room closed, but it was in 60 in Pennsylvania today. So I had it open to help with some airflow. We're working, and I thought I heard something, and I'm like, what is that? What's kind of going on? And I take off my ear, slide off one of the earbuds, and then I hear almost like a spark sound is what I think I hear, but I'm not really sure. So I go and I tuck my head in the mining room, and inside the mining room, yeah, this is not what it looked like then. So inside the mining room, that rack was here with my rigs on it with my octo miners, and I see a puddle on the floor and water coming off of the metal rack. And I'm like, oh shit. So I run in here and I look and I'm like, where's the water coming from? And I look up and it's coming from, I'll show you on a different inline fan. It's coming from that right there, where the ductwork meets the actual inline fan. It was this one right up here. So I run in, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's water coming in from the inline fan. So I unplug my fans real quick here and here. These handle the left side of the room. The ones over here and over here handle the right side of the room. So I unplug them thinking like, my first thing is like, all right, I'll unplug them. It's gonna disconnect them. Well, when you unplug these fans from the controller, the fans don't turn off. And I wasn't even thinking in the moment. They actually max out at 10. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I run over to open my access panel. Well, the access panel has like this little flathead screwdriver, little rivets. Didn't have a flathead screwdriver. Ran back, grabbed a screwdriver, came back, opened up the access panel, unplugged the electric outlets, and then I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I went and I unplugged all of my rigs from underneath here and all of the C14 slots on my PDU. So that's what you see out here. So I just threw them all on there, unplugged the Ethernet, and then I grabbed the actual rack, which not this one, the other one out there, and I rolled it out of the room. And let's go back there. And last I checked, so the water was coming from here, like up here down, going across here, coming down here, was dripping off of my octo miner cases, dripping down here and coming down here. So the puddle was like below the floor over here on the rack. So after I ran that out there real quick, I went ahead, got up on the ladder, undid the inline fan. So let's go up here and take a look. So the inline fan is sitting right here, and this is what this looked like. So it was sitting right here, and the water was coming from right where that ductwork ends. So right on this lip here, trying to hold this up at the same time. Now, you see how this is like a little dip right here? That's where there was water, and I actually lifted up. I'm gonna put this down. I lifted this up here, and I could feel it was like heavier. Like when I go over to this one here, this is nice and light, nothing to it. But this one was heavier, and I was like, oh God. So I started to unscrew. Let me look here, I'll show you guys. Sorry, I'm up on a ladder holding this. So I started to unscrew the hose clamp on that side. And as I did, more and more water came out. And on the opposite side, more and more water came out. So that was what was in the bucket previously. I emptied this a little bit ago, so there's not really water in there. But what had happened was, after I unscrewed the inline fan and removed it, I stuck my hand up inside here when this was still mounted, and I could feel there's water in the bottom of this. So I'm gonna throw up a picture real quick. That's the outside of my house, because that was my next stop. I went on the outside of the house and looked, and it's not like there was anything crazy that I could see. The only thing I could think about was like the rain turned like a crazy direction and blew in it wasn't running on the outside of the duct. The rain must have blew into the vent like perfectly, because it wasn't like it was coming in off the house and then going into the vent the way the vent is set up and everything. So it just blew my mind. So where we're at now is I haven't done anything since then. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the video and get the inline fan reinstalled. We'll plug that in, make sure it still works, because there was water on each side of that inline fan. So that would mean it was blowing the water like almost through the inline fan, which speaks kudos to AC Infinity there. And then we're gonna get the inline fan set up. We're gonna get them plugged back in. It's getting a little warm in here. It's not bad. It's 76 right now. It looks like it's 78 at the ceiling. And let me get that all set up, and then I'm gonna wheel in my rigs and we're gonna plug them in one by one and take a look. I'm gonna open up the octo miners, see if I see any water stains, and also see if they power on. Okay, so we got everything back reinstalled, inline fans installed and good to go. I did take off the vent on this side and this side. A lot of like moisture and water, not a ton of water, but a little moisture on this side, a little bit of moisture on this side. So I took this off. So here's the vent. So the vent goes up. I don't know if I can give you guys a view or not. It might be really hard. But the vent goes up and then goes like here, and then goes up, and then goes to a hard piece that connects to the outside vent. So I stuck my hand all the way up, and there's actually, I don't know if you guys can see it, right where my middle finger is, there's like a little like it hits that. That's actually the hard piece off of the duct that's outside. So I put my hand up into there, and it's a longer piece, maybe a foot total, and there was some water there, not a lot, but like a little bit. So I took a rag, dried that out, but there was no new water coming in there, and it's raining outside right now too. And I actually put my arm all the way up in there and touched the outside vent, and I didn't feel any water at all. So I'm like, okay, I feel like this was a one-off, especially because all of this has been in place for, I don't know, 10 months now, a little less, and I haven't had any issues up to this point. Snow, crazy downpours. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna get these reinstalled. Instead of duct tape, which I foolishly used at one point, we have some great flex tape, some ductwork flex tape. So we're gonna get it reinstalled, tied back up, turn everything back on, and then our next stop is to go and get our mining rigs from the other room back in here, and we're gonna take a look at each one, inspect it, and make sure we can power these up, make sure we don't have any water damage. Well, I wanted to show you guys something, because I thought it'd be good to think about, like, okay, what have we learned from this situation? And hopefully somebody else can learn from this and not make the same mistake I did. So, looking real quick, this is exactly what is installed out there. And this is kind of that long piece I was talking about that I was reaching inside and felt a little bit of water right here. It's an Imperial 6-inch premium inline hood. With a screen. So it's got this screen on here, these vents pop out, the screen pops out. So at some point the water came in here. I was thinking about outside, like, did the water come down and then like go between here and the siding? But none of the outside of this was wet. It was only inside, which would lead me to believe that like I was getting water somehow in this way, like straight in through this way. So I think it was a mistake buying this unit, and I actually have some of these installed too outside. And the reason is I wish, now that looking back, I went with something like this. Now, you're gonna have air restriction, but the way this is it comes completely down. So you would literally have to get rain going straight this way. If you take a different picture, look at that picture, you see how that's designed? I should have went with that. Now, it adds a little more air restriction, but I think it's more secure. The nice thing is I could clean this off a little bit better, or even something like crazy like this too, just has more of a cone and cover over top of it. So I did go ahead, I got cables sitting here ready to install, I got my rigs in here ready to install and power them on. We'll take a look in a minute. I redid everything up here to get it ready to go. It's working well. The second lesson learned here, and I should count it as a blessing, is literally today I was originally scheduled to get my drop ceiling in. So think about it, my drop ceiling would have been installed, right? And then that would have started leaking today and covered this entire mining room. You know, it's on top of tile vents, and actually what I was planning on doing was on top of the tiles doing a 2-inch foam board as well as a plastic sheet underneath the foam board, between the foam board and the drop ceiling, to help cap off this room. So that water would have sat on top of this plastic cover that I was gonna put here. Oh my gosh, I'm so fortunate. Like, can you imagine that was in place and how long that water would have sat and then ended up dripping down the walls? Oh my gosh, it would have been a nightmare. So I guess I count it as a blessing. I don't know. All right, so let me I got a step stool to see up top here a little better. Because my goal now is I want to see, so the water was coming down here on this side. So everything looks good here. I wanted to see if I saw any like water spots, nothing. You see that between the dust? I'm not seeing any water spots anywhere or on the outside. So we're gonna do one rig at a time. Let me get this guy up and running and we'll plug it in and test it out. Okay, moment of truth. So nice things about these rolling racks here, kind of move them back and forth and get behind them. All right, so it looks like the power actually turned on right away on our 750 watt power supply. We're running a server power supply here. And let's get that turned on. All right, cool, we're powering up. I got lights on all of my risers. This is actually, we have some 3060s, 3060 Ti's, and 1660 Ti's in here mining Ethereum and also mining Flux in this rig. So we're gonna give it a minute. We'll let it boot up and I'll check it out in Hive OS. These are the two I'm most concerned about because I visibly, you can actually see the water spots here. Can you guys see that? There were some water spots right on here. I wiped this off real quick, but you can see there's some water. So there was some water on top of the case of the Octominer and in here. In this case, I have RX 580s, and in this one, we have 470s. I can't do this with the camera here, so what I'm gonna do is I'll pause it. I wanna open this up and do a visual spot inspection of it. Okay, so we pulled it out here. So this side would have been closest to the water here along the edge. I know it's hard to see with the way the shadows are, but I haven't found any water damage inside here. I did take out this card, didn't see anything. Everything seems to be good. So I think we're definitely lucky. On our next one, this is our 470 rig. It's 12 470s, all mining Ethereum Classic. This side would have been where the water is at, where the power supplies are. So I didn't see anything. I did pull out the power supplies, didn't see any water, no moisture, no residue, nothing down the sides of the case here. I mean, there's plenty of dust, so you would have seen water marks that dried up there. So I think we're pretty good there. So let me get both the Octominers back up and running. Moment of truth here. All right, power is good, heck yeah. Fans are super loud, they'll quiet down. Not seeing any problems. Looks like all of our cards are up and spinning, a little dirty. All right, let's get this massive lid on and then we'll test out the 580 rig. All right, second Octominer. Come on, 580s. There we go. Ooh, got a little hesitant there. All right. It looks like we're good there. Let's get our lid on, and now it's down to our last rig here. So if you guys were curious, the 580s are mining Ethereum on 2 miners and getting paid out in Bitcoin. The 470s are mining Ethereum Classic. And then we have 1080s in here, 3 1080s, 2 1660 Ti's, and a 3060 Ti. The 1080s and the 1660 Ti's are all mining Ethereum, as well as, the 3060 Ti. So everything mining Ethereum on that rig there, just 6 GPUs. The 1080s did get really hot, so I spread them out and broke that down to a 6-card rig. Okay, last rig, powered on there. I gotta turn on a switch back here, there we go. And let's see. Uh-oh. Let me check that switch. Maybe that switch. There we go. Okay. Whew. A little nervous. All right. All of our fans are up and running. Yes, I got to replace that one. It's on my list. That is good. Let's put this back in place. Underneath here, I like to monitor the temps at the ground. I do like the temps at the ground, temps at waist height, and then these actually read the probes right here, if you guys can see it. Okay, so let's jump over to 𝐓𝐸 and take a look, make sure everything's up. So it's a good thing when I'm getting my Telegram alerts here, which is awesome. Offline, yep, exactly. If you guys haven't seen, I did release a video on getting alerts on your rig's up-down status with Telegram. It actually works really, really well. I've been really happy with it actually over Discord. So I'll put a link in the upper right-hand corner as well as down below to the video we just did on this last week. But it does look like up here, we can see all of our rigs are back up and running, thank goodness. This one's just a test bench here, USB drive. I have one USB and then also a solid state drive, but yeah, I am super thankful, guys. Things are looking green, which is awesome as well. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna need to like sleep in my mining room, like on the floor here, just to make sure. I am gonna monitor that quite a bit over the next few days, make sure we're good to go. Something I'm thinking about for the summer, and let me step out here a little bit, is for the summer, I'm gonna replace those outside vents. It's gonna be a ton of work. Removing the vents isn't the hard part on the outside of the house, like I had showed you guys in the pictures. It's installing the new ones and then pulling the ductwork through and attaching it. That's gonna be a nightmare because I'm gonna have a drop ceiling in here too, but I think I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to get ducts that have the hoods on them because now I'm super uneasy about everything. Anyways, guys, longer video today. A lot of rambling on. I am just super happy things worked out. I was not gonna lie, when I saw that water right there, I almost cried. I think you would too, right? If you guys have had any water issues within your crypto mining setups, I'd love to see some comments and stories down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Take care.